Matt, welcome to the Inside GITEX podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
You've got a bit of an American accent going on.
A little bit, yeah.
Where have you come from?
I'm coming from Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
But I'm originally a Pennsylvania boy, so I'm East Coast.
I wouldn't be able to put them on the map, so it's not going to make too much difference to me. My US geography ain't the best, unless it's sort of a campaign year. We're looking at all the electoral states.
Yeah.
So I heard something strange about Texas, that you guys have the highest amount of tigers per capita anywhere in the world. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true, but it's definitely a thing that in Texas, people will keep exotic pets on their like ranch land.
Yeah.
It's mostly like a tax thing.
Yeah.
So if you have a lot of land, you have to pay real estate taxes on it unless you're using it for agriculture.
Okay.
So there are a lot of people who want to have a lot of land, but then they don't want to actually farm it. Yeah. So it's considered agriculture if you have exotic animals living on your land. So a lot of people will have like tigers or giraffes or zebras or something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
When you woke up this morning, were you expecting to be talking about tigers at GITEX?
No, that's exciting. If we can come up with some way to combine tigers and brain-computer interfaces, I think that. It'll be a really interesting
A nice little segue there. Before we get into what you do, GITEX so far, how has it been for you?
I love it.
You've been here before, or was it the first time?
No, it's my first time. It reminds me a little bit of the LEAP conference?
Yeah, you can say it.
Yeah.
Is it better, or?
I think it's actually not packed full of people, like in the same way. It's spread out a little bit. It's a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah, very diplomatic. GITEX typically isn't that relaxed. It's been it's been a lot of people over the last few days.
Yeah, it's definitely popular, but it doesn't feel claustrophobic.
Yeah, especially not in this fishbowl that we're in. So welcome to my fishbowl. So you're the CEO of Paradromics. Talk to me about what it is that you guys do.
We build brain-computer interfaces, which are essentially modems that connect brains and computers. So I have one in my pocket here today.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, this is the world's highest data rate brain-computer interface.
So what does that mean?
For
someone who doesn't know anything about brain and computer interfaces.
What it does is it sits on the surface of a brain, and it has tiny little platinum iridium microwires. They're smaller than human hairs, and they reach down into the surface of the brain and record from individual neurons. Now, I'll give you an example of the kind of thing you can do with a device like that. While we're talking right now, our motor cortex is telling our body what to do. It's telling our lips, our tongue, our larynx how to shape the air to make words. It's telling our hands, how to move around in various degrees of freedom. When someone becomes paralyzed, their brain can no longer direct their body to do those things. So if you think of the late physicist Stephen Hawking, he lost the ability to speak toward the end of his life. However, the motor cortex for people who become paralyzed is still active. It's still doing the same thing when they try to move. And so if you give someone who's paralyzed a brain-computer interface, it can interpret the neural signals of a person when they're trying to move or trying to speak, tell a computer what they're trying to do, and then a computer can complete that action for them by putting text on a screen or speaking on their behalf or even controlling a robotic arm.
I'm just blown away.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's happening around the world right now.
How many people have this?
I would say that there are probably about, in the last 20 years, 100 or so people who have received brain-computer interfaces.
And how much would something like that cost you to have?
We're expecting that for the product that I just described to you that helps people who are paralyzed to communicate again, a sales price of roughly $150,000. For the first years when it's rolled out. So
it'd be communicating via computer,
exactly,
effectively. So what inspired you to start this in the first place? It's amazing.
I'm a neuroscientist and a neurotechnologist by background. Yeah. So I started off and I was just developing ways to record from lots of neurons simultaneously. So one thing that I like to tell people is, because, it's difficult to intuit, brains are actually really slow.
Especially mine. Especially this early in the morning. Yeah.
All of ours.
Yeah.
You think of a computer runs at gigahertz frequencies. That means it does 1 billion cycles per second. A neuron, from a neuron standpoint in your brain, if two things happen in the same millisecond, basically happened at the same time, which means that it operates at kilohertz frequencies, 1 million times slower than a computer. And yet brains do incredible things. And it's because we have so many neurons. We have 85 billion neurons. And one neuron can talk to 10,000 other neurons. So you have this massively complex parallel architecture. And what that means is that if we're trying to study the brain, or if we're trying to get data out of the brain to do like healthcare applications, there's not like a high-speed port that you can just plug into. There's no USB in the brain. You have to talk to as many neurons as possible. That's the currency of information. So when I was postdoc at Stanford, I was developing ways to read out from as many neurons as possible. And I met a lot of researchers that were working with older technology, helping people with paralysis. And it was the conversations between me and them about what would it mean to bring new generation technology to BCI that inspired me to create the company.
Did you have anyone in the family that had a neurological disease that you wanted to try and help? Was there any kind of context to this?
Of course, everyone is touched by neurological disease. So I have people in my family that have had various conditions in like mental health or, loss of function as they got older. But it wasn't specifically like a family connection that made me do it. In fact, it started off as just a purely science thing. And then I essentially realizing how much potential the technology had, I left science. I quit my academic job and started a company and went into this field.
Should we be scared of people like you, or should we be super excited about people like you?
I think you should be really excited about what neurotechnology can do for people with disabilities. And I think that, not just me, but if I think of the other leaders in the BCI space that are building these technologies, I think we have a pretty special situation right now where the leaders in the field, almost all of them came into the space because they cared about restoring function for sick people. And we have a lot of capital now that's flowing in from Silicon Valley and from investors that are interested in, a farther off future of brain enhancement. But one thing that I've been telling people is this is one of those really rare situations where the tech industry and Silicon Valley are creating positive externalities, meaning like they're trying to build the products that they want to build, but in the meantime, they're having side effects that are actually positive.
How big is this industry?
Well, we estimate that the first market use of BCI in communications is a roughly $20 billion business. The larger mental health space, served by BCI, Morgan Stanley estimated to be a $400 billion industry. If you think about the ambitions that Elon Musk and Sam Altman have for the space, it's even hard to put a number on it. I mean, I don't know what the modern industry for software applications and cell phones is, but it's staggering.
How do the big pharmas see you, people like you, and what you're trying to do in the space?
I would say right now, pharmaceutical companies
Are you a threat or are you not a threat?
I think that we can be a potential ally for pharmaceuticals. And there are a lot of pharma companies that are on the sidelines looking at these developments. There's some that have become active. Astellas actually bought a BCI company. They bought, oh my God, I'll remember the name.
Yeah, it's okay.
Anyway, but the cool thing about BCI is that it can read out brain activity directly. And so right now, if we think about the sort of paradigm in psychiatry and neurology, what happens if you go into a psychiatrist and they say, what's the problem? And you say, well, I'm feeling this way, or like I've been thinking about these things, or, kind of bummed out, or I'm having trouble paying attention. And then they have a checklist and they're filling out a checklist. And then there's this book called the DSM, and they find the right page and they say, we think you might fit this condition. And then here, take a drug. That doesn't seem like a very sophisticated way to interrogate the most complex system.
But it's a great way of making money.
True.
Right? Treatment has always been the biggest way pharmas have made money.
Imagine if they could sell the same, pharma companies could sell the same pharmaceuticals, but they could know who to sell it to and how to dose it and when they should take it. And they had real-time feedback rather than just going to a psychiatrist or a neurologist and filling out a checklist. Imagine if you had a brain device that was reading out data in real time. Yeah. So there's a really good analog to this, which is the continuous glucose monitor. Glucose monitoring doesn't cure diabetes. It's not even per se a therapy for diabetes, but having your access to your blood glucose levels more frequently or constantly allows you to make changes in your life that allow you to handle your diabetes much more.
So you see it, you working kind of in a symbiotic way with the big pharmas rather than trying to replace potentially a treatment option.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think in the long arc of history, device-based therapies have a lot of advantages over pharmaceuticals, but I don't think they'll ever completely replace pharmaceuticals.
Look, it's brain technology. I mean, at the end of the day, right? This is what. Don't you think there's a massive ethical question mark sort of placed and privacy of basically meddling with people's brains?
There's a huge amount of responsibility when you build a brain implant to put in another person's
brain.
brain.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your brain controls everything.
What are the things that you owe a person if you're giving them a brain implant? Safety, first and foremost. You need to make sure that the surgical operation to place the device is safe, that the device itself is safe. Durability. You want to make sure that if you're putting a device in someone's brain, that you're making a durable commitment to them, that device will still function the way it did on day 1, on day 1,000.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like performance. You should build them the best possible system that delivers according to their needs.
Yeah. You're a doctor, okay?
I'm a PhD.
You're a PhD. Yeah, you have a doctorate. You're a doctor.
Doctor of philosophy.
I mean, I called you Matt, but I can call you Dr. Matt. But regardless, trust is everything. If it's a family member and I've got $150,000 like lying away and I want to help one of my family members, I have to have tremendous amount of trust to give that individual over to someone like in your company to have that brain implant. I mean, how do you build trust with your customer base?
I mean, part of it is transparency. Explaining what we're doing, why we're doing it, publishing about the technology that we're building, whether it's publishing our preclinical studies as we have done, or publishing the results of clinical trials. I think transparency builds trust.
What do you think what's the biggest misconception about what you do?
I think that people over-index on some of the far future aspects of BCI, which can become a little bit dystopian, and sometimes they underappreciate the things that BCI can deliver, in the next 5 years for people with certainty.
Give me a little known fact about brain technology. What people
there are people who are completely paralyzed that are speaking with their family members again through brain implants. A lot of people don't realize that.
Wow. Do you know any?
Yeah.
I must know a lot.
Yeah. Actually, I received an email from one through his brain implant participant in a study at UC Davis. Sent him an email. He emailed me back through his brain implant.
And okay, so the email is it would look like any normal typical email. There's no sort of disclaimer saying this is coming from a brain implant. It will just be read like a normal
I think that's
email.
the idea. That's the goal, that we want to restore function so that people can re-enter society and go back to work.
Matt, this is amazing. Honestly, I'm genuinely blown away. But like I said right at the beginning, should I be scared of someone like you, or should I be very excited about someone like you?
I think one of the things is that.
Do you understand why I'm saying that? Because
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you must get that a lot.
We see how developments in the smartphone and developments in social media haven't made us happier. Most people that I know,
the other way.
Most people I know aren't happier when they're looking at their phone. We have this, pervasive world of, push notifications that are constantly competing for attention, products where we think we're the users and we are actually like part of the product. I think everyone should be, I don't want to say skeptical, but like society should be engaged in the development of the BCI industry. Yeah. There's so much good that it can do for people who need it. And even there's a future, a sort of science fiction-y, exciting, wild future where healthy people have brain implants and it's not dystopian.
Yeah. So what's your advice to people who are dreamers, who are innovators? Because, you've been pushing the boundaries. What would you want to tell them or advise them to continue following and pushing for that dream?
We need people of all ilks in the BCI industry. And so I would say figure out what your superpower is. If you're an electrical engineer, double down on that. If you're an ethicist, like we have a field of neuroethics that is growing. If you're a business person, like we need business people, like figure out what you uniquely can contribute to the growing field of BCI and double down in your core skill set, because that's what we need.
You're a smart guy. What am I going to ask you next?
I don't have a brain implant in you yet.
Yeah. What's your superpower?
What's your superpower?
Yeah.
Whew. I guess I was crazy enough to take on the risk of starting this company at a time when it was essentially completely unfundable and and stubborn enough to stick with it for the last decade.
So that's belief. That's is your superpower like purpose and belief?
Yeah,
Conviction on what you're doing?
conviction, belief, a little bit of grit.
Yeah.
I really feel that there's a future of developing this technology where it can help a lot of people and it can be shepherded responsibly. And I would like, initially my goal of coming to this was purely about restoration of function. But as the field is moving forward and I'm realizing where the technology is going and what it can enable, I also have a vested interest in making sure, as leader of the company that has literally the highest data rate interface between humans and brains today, I definitely want to make sure that the technology is developed differently than like the last set of innovations.
Matt, how old are you?
I am 40 years old. I just turned 40
You
this
don't look
year.
it. Congratulations. Yesterday?
No, this year.
This year.
Over
Okay.
the summer.
And when did you start the company?
I started in 2015.
Okay.
Now, for the first 4
So
years...
quick maths, you were 30 years old when you started this company.
Yeah. For the first 4 years of the company, it's more like what we would consider like a focused research organization today. It was just a bunch of like scrappy young people building technology. We were supported by the National Institute of Health and the Department of Defense, building core technologies. We had some angel funding. I would say that the company in earnest probably started around 2019.
Okay.
That was when we realized, okay, we have all these capabilities.
Things got real.
Yeah, let's put it together and make a device that's going to be safe for people.
Okay. So since it sort of did start in 2015, over the last 10 years, plus it sounds nicer, 10 is a nice round number. What is that overriding insight? What is that one thing that you'd love to share that people need to know about?
I think the thing that I want everyone to realize is that, in data science, we talk about like different ways to think about if you have data points. There's a extrapolation, which is where you have points on a line and then you look forward in time and you say like, okay, where is this going? Look at the line now, extrapolate where we're going. There's another technique called interpolation, which is where, okay, I have this point and I have this point, and now I want to figure out where am I in the middle. Mm-hmm. I actually think forecasting in the field of BCI is an act of interpolation. We know that when we have enough bandwidth access to the visual cortex, it will be possible to deliver, data to the visual system that is indistinguishable from visual data that comes from the eye. The same as when we have enough access to the auditory system, we know that there will be enough, you'll be able to deliver a sound that sounds indistinguishable from the sound that hit your ear. We know this because we know that all information comes to our brains through the senses, and we know where that information is processed. The same as we know that one day when we record from the motor cortex completely, we'll be able to completely describe everything that you do as a person. So in some sense, we have this
what's the insight?
End goal. We have, and now we know where we are,
Yeah.
and it's that connecting of the two dots, and that's what the next 20 years is going to look like. And we have really high confidence about where the field is going, and we know that all along the way, we're going to be delivering outcomes for people with disabilities that are...
So what is that insight that you want to share?
I think it's...
You know what you're doing, you know where you're going. What is it that you want to share?
I think it's that it's not actually that speculative.
It's real.
Yeah, it's really going to happen. And it's not... We don't have to imagine like new science or new physics to see that that's possible.
Yeah. You literally see the way forward.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm still a little bit scared. I'm not going to lie. Finally, on GITEX, how has it been for you? Talk to me about some of the conversations that you've had. What are your expectations maybe going forward into next year?
It's incredible. I love, when you're working on a problem that's global in scale, it's great to meet people from all over the world that have similar interests. And I think that something like brain-computer interfaces, we want to keep it like a global pursuit, and we want to leverage all of the world's talents. And, yeah.
Amazing. Matt, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on Inside GITEX podcast. I sincerely wish you all the very best in every possible capacity. And say hi to those tigers when you get back to Austin, Texas.
I will, of course.
All right, mate. Take it easy. Thank you for joining.
Thanks.